Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Manchester City preview. United travel to the Etihad in the Premier League. Joining me are two titans of the Manchester United fan base. Alex Baggers.
I'm nervous, Jay.
Nervous. Why? Loser. And also that there, Joe Smith. Are you nervous, son?
Yeah, the last time I went to the Etihad, I was getting a vaccine stuck in my arm. And I don't think we're going to come out of here with less in danger than we arrived. I think we're going to come out of here pumped full of goals, not vaccines.
Pumped full of goals.
I'm shitting myself for this because, let's be honest, if we don't win, the title challenge might be waning slightly.
Waning.
Yeah.
It
And by title challenge, I mean top four hopes.
It might make it difficult if we don't win this to wrestle the title that's seemingly in City's grasp. Listen, we know that United haven't been great form and that City have. We'll get onto City a little bit later on. One of the issues that we've got at Manchester United, other than scoring goals, is probably the squad depth, Baggers.
Yep.
We know that City have, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say this, in a recent game, I read it on the internet, so it must be true, they had $500 million, because people like to Americanise things, dollars worth of players on the bench. Last game we played, we had some children.
We
on
did
the
have some
bench.
children.
And I mean children.
And if you want to Americanise that even further, you can say $500 million worth of hot shots set in the seats on the sidelines. That's if you really want to Americanise it. You can go all the way. Do that with it if you want. Them bloody hot shots on the sidelines.
Ignore that.
Ignore him.
I'm going to.
Right. Yeah, squad depth.
Oh, you're allowed to Americanise things and I'm not.
I didn't do that $500 million
You
worth
just
of
have
You just done it, you fool.
Matt's not my American accent.
Right,
My
okay.
American accent would be $500 million worth of hard shots.
Wow, you're going for that voiceover work.
I'm not doing an American accent. Anyway, so $500 million. It's not long ago that we've got quite a decent bench here. We had Cavani, Van der Beek, Pogba was on the bench quite a few times.
Yeah.
Dan James wasn't even getting a sniff. Juan Mata was there. All of a sudden, everyone's injured. We've got no players. Starting Cavani, and like you said, we had the children on the bench in the midweek. Like, are they going to come on and do anything? Probably not.
And I want to get one thing straight before people dive in the comments. I'm not criticising the likes of Amad Diallo and players like Alan Torre for being on the bench. I'm just saying that it shows the difference in between the squad depth that Manchester City have got and have accumulated over the last few years and where Manchester United are with one or two injuries and where it leaves us.
We can't at this moment in time afford to change things up a little bit. The Palace game that's just gone, we played Greenwood, Rashford and Cavani. And for as much as everyone's screaming at the TV saying, we need to change this, we've got to bring someone on, we've got to change this, you've got to bring off one of our better players and put someone on who's never scored a goal in the Premier League. That's our option. Or Dan James, who 90% of the fan base hated and didn't want to see in the United shirt again. For as much as I think Dan James has done well, you're not improving the team bringing Dan James on for Edison Cavani. You might add a little bit more energy, a bit of fresh legs.
Yeah.
But it's not improving the team. It's not changing something. Whereas we'll look at City going into this weekend. The front three options that they have, they've got Sterling, Mahrez, Aguero, Jesus, Bernardo Silva, Ferran Torres, who hasn't even had a kick that they signed this summer, who's the next thing since sliced bread.
The next thing.
I'm sure I've said that before.
You have said that before.
Sliced bread was the last thing.
Yeah.
Now the next thing is
best
going to
thing
be something
since
else.
sliced bread. I also, what did I say today? What did I say in the Palace game? I said player of the munch. Yeah, things are going well.
Luke Shaw, who's bless him, and just won player of the month, and then Baggers calls it player of the munch.
Very much a Freudian slip.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
You look at the difference, and there's a lot of things getting made up about the lack of pre-season this season that we've had.
Yeah.
The fact that United got rushed into it, the fact that not many transfers coming in, and all this kind of stuff. But what's really showing now in all this, and that there's not many breaks in games. United have played like 50 games already. They played 42 games before, 43 games already this season, is that we've not got the squad to manage that yet. And I think that losing Paul Pogba out of it made just everything go, wow, we're really lacking massively here. We can't change things up. We can't try something new. And when things are going like they are at the minute, we've had 3 0-0s on the spin. There isn't, okay, all right, well, let's just take him out of the game. Let's take Cavani out, let's take Martial out. Because then you go, well, what's the other option?
injured now, by
Martial
the way.
is injured, gets taken out, and you've got nothing else to bring in. And this was the worry at the start of the season. This is why everyone was pushing on the Jadon Sancho thing. But I think everyone was going, we need someone else on that right-hand side. We need another option in the forward positions because it only takes 1 or 2 injuries. It only takes a drop in form. and we look very poor, and that's what seemed to have happened since the new year, really.
It's no coincidence for me that we've started getting a couple of injuries and we've gone to shit. It's not like all of a sudden, what was it? Van der Beek was injured, McTominay was injured, Pogba was injured, Cavani was injured all at the same time. Now you've got Cavani back, but Martial's injured. You've got McTominay back, but De Gea's injured. We're not without injuries, and they all sort of came within a couple of weeks of each other, and then all of a sudden we're crap. Like, I don't think overnight Ole's a shit manager, and overnight Bruno's a shit player, and overnight Marcus Rashford's terrible, and etc. 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 It's no coincidence that these injuries have come at the same time as our form has dropped, because, like you said, our squad isn't that deep, and we were only ever a couple of injuries away. And I said one of the things when we were top of the league, when we were pushing for top of the league for the first 20 games of the season, which, regardless of how far we finish off Manchester City in the end, is better than we've done since Fergie left. That is statistically true. We've never been top of the league after 20 games since Sir Alex Ferguson left Manchester United. So even if we do end as far behind him as we did under Jose, it isn't the same season, because we were never remotely in with a shout, let alone more than halfway into the season. But we were always only ever a couple of injuries away, and we've been saying it the whole time. If Rashford, Bruno or Pogba get injured, we're really going to struggle. Oh, Pogba's injured and we're really struggling, and now we can't fathom why. It's a mixture of things, but for me, the biggest thing is injuries and a lack of squad depth, just like you've said.
And I think on that as well, it's not, oh, woe is us, there's no woe is me, oh my God, we've got injuries. That's going to happen when you play 2 games a week, trying to win the league, trying to win on 4 fronts. That's that's for as fair as Ollie's done this season. He's played strong squads in every single competition because he wants to win. He wants to have a good run in the Premier League, but he wants to win a trophy. And he's pushed all those forward. And to do that, you need a strong squad. And what's shown is, if you don't have that squad depth, and you do what Manchester City have done, where they've got 2 for every single position, where either out of form or injured, you just go, he steps up and does it. You see what's happened. Liverpool have gone, all say, we've got no centre-halves. Well, you start the season with 2 injury-prone ones and Van Dijk, and you lose one of them, things are going to go bad. And they've lost 3 of them, and things have gone really bad. United start the season with 2 or 3 midfielders that are creative. You lose one of them, now things start to put a little pressure on, and there's more pressure on Bruno. You have to have a squad that has 2 or 3 in every single position in order to compete on 4 different fronts. You can't manage that. You can't sack. You can do what Jose did and just sack off 2 trophies, sack off one of the cups, sack off the league and finish 6th. You can do that, but Ollie's not going to try and do that. Ollie wants to win 4 trophies. He wants to try and win 4 trophies. He wants to try and get us high up the league as he can, and we need more players to do that.
You mentioned there about Paul Pogba, Joe, being injured. I think personally, if he, as soon as he got injured, we were in trouble in the Everton game. I think we'd have won that game. You look at it going back previously, I think we hadn't have had him for the Burnley game, we wouldn't have won that. We hadn't have had him for the Fulham game, we wouldn't have won that. He'd become one of our most important players. As Bruno had sort of lost a bit of form, Paul Pogba had stepped up. Just looking at that midfield, I mean, we were doing the Palace game the other night, and we both agreed that it was probably one of Fred's worst ever performances. How much of a concern is that to you, the fact that our midfield looks so weak going up against a Manchester City team who can literally have Kevin De Bruyne missing and still look unbeatable?
And be better than they are when he's playing.
I mean, that's just
that is a fact at this point. Manchester City are better without Kevin De Bruyne, even though he's their best player, which I think he is. Yeah. I don't understand how that works, but it worked 2 years ago. It worked. They were struggling at the start of the season. He was their best player. Then he gets injured. All of a sudden, they start a 21-game winning streak. And I'm not saying... I do think that is a coincidence. I don't really think they're better without him. But they literally don't get any worse when he doesn't play. Yeah. And yet, he's their best player. The midfield is my concern for you. And I don't want this to be all negative either, because we are second in the league. We're better than everyone other than Manchester City, which we didn't think we would be at the start of the season. No. So that's not bad. But yeah, I just think what the problem is, and I've been saying this for a while, United can't play well defensively and offensively in the same game. We kind of have to choose. And I'm not saying we always choose one or the other, but it seems that it's only ever one. Yeah. We either look really good going forward or we look good defensively, not both. And for me, that comes down to the midfield. Fred has been terrible recently. And to your point about squad rotation and depth, if we had another player in there, or we didn't have the injuries to McTominay and Pogba, you would have gone, Fred's shit at the minute. Let's just drop him for 3 or 4 games. We can't, because then you're playing Galbraith and Matic. Like, I know McTominay's back now, but Van der Beek was injured, McTominay was injured, Pogba was injured. We only had 2 midfielders against Sociedad to play. And I know we won that game, but generally speaking, those 2 aren't going to carry you through every week. So now McTominay's come back, but it only can be it was only a sub the other night. Pogba's obviously still not back. Van der Beek still not back, or he was back and then he's gone again. So it worries me that when our midfielders are unfit or in bad form, we can't rotate and we don't have other good options. And I just think the quality isn't quite there. I think Pogba's a great player, but other than that, not one of those players stands out as a top-class midfielder. And Matic did 5 years ago, and Fred looked like he could be heading towards that, for the first couple of months of the season. But Fred has been really poor since Christmas, if you ask me. McTominay's added another level to his game with goals, but I'm not sure he's ever going to be a world-class player. And we need someone who is. You can't just have, the most important position in the team, the position that carries the ball from the defence to the attack and stops attacks from the opposition when we lose the ball in attack. Like, we can't have that position filled with just about good enough players. It just doesn't work.
My worry is, I think I chatted with Jay about this a few weeks ago, is that we've got a lot of players that are good with someone else. We say it all the time. Fred plays well when he has McTominay next to him. McTominay plays well when he has Fred. That pairing needs to stay. You have Nemanja Matic in there who defensively is very good, but if he doesn't have Paul Pogba next to him, we lack creativity. Same with Paul Pogba. If you have even with Paul Pogba in there, if you don't have a Fred or a Matic, you lose Paul Pogba because we lose this kind of structure in the team. And you look what we have to compare to Man City, obviously playing them. You look what Fernandinho does. Anyone he has in front of him, he still does the same job and he still gives that kind of performance. Same with De Bruyne. When De Bruyne plays, I think Bruno does it. Bruno gives the same performance whoever's behind him, whether he's playing in with Matic, Fred, Pogba, whoever's there, he plays very well. But I think that you look what De Bruyne does. If he has anyone behind him, he plays well. Rodri kind of does that job as well. If anyone's in front of him, he still keeps the ball moving and does the same thing every week. Whereas United are lacking someone that can just do things on his own. It seems like everyone needs the hand-holding. Fred needs Matic to say, where the fuck are you going and why can't you pass it sideways? And then you've got...
He can't bless him? He can't pass it sideways.
And then you've got Pogba as well. And you're like, if Matic isn't next to him, we've lost all the structure of the team and he can't play. And you're like, this can't be the case at Manchester United. We've not, you look at, you never had that with Carrick. You never said, Carrick needs Scholes next to him. He's going to be shit today. You always had, Carrick was always going to do that. Scholes, you didn't. If you didn't have Roy Keane, he's going to be really poor today. There was always, these guys are going to do it on their own. And I think it's the same thing at centre-half. I think Bailly and Maguire, if Maguire's in the team, you need Bailly because otherwise we look slow. There's a lot of, if you've not got him playing, I'm not going to be very good at football. And that just, we can't be having that Man United. We need someone that's going to go, I'll start right here every week. I'll do it on my own, play fucking whoever you want, and we'll do well. I think there's too many bit part squad players rather than I'll start in the 11, I'll do my job, no worries.
With that in mind, let's go into your Predict 11. You've done it differently because you like to do the team that you want to see play rather than your predicted 11. So go on, we'll start with you. Who do you want to see play for Manchester United against Manchester City?
Funnily enough, I've gone for the same team that started against Crystal Palace because I think that's the strongest team we have available at the minute. So I've gone Henderson, Wan-Bissaka, Bailly, who... Again, I'm not certain he'll play 2 games in a row, but I think he should if he's available.
Okay.
Bailly and Maguire with Luke Shaw on the left. Then I've gone Matic and Fred. I mean, Fred's been... Here's the thing, and here's the problem that I'm facing now that we've just talked about. Fred has been terrible, but for me, Matic and McTominay will get just knife through buttered by Foden and Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne or whoever it is. Gundogan, he was on the bench the other day, coming down, jogging. He's got 11 goals since Christmas, jogging down to come on at 4-1 up for Manchester City. Whoever it is who plays in there, I think Matic and McTominay as a partnership is too static and too cumbersome. So I'm sort of forced into picking Fred and then Greenwood, Bruno, Rashford and Edinson Cavani, who was taken off after, 76 minutes against Palace. Hopefully that's to rest, not to rest him because we needed to win the game, but hopefully that wasn't because he's injured is what I'm trying to say.
No.
But yeah, it's a team that played horrifically the other night, but hopefully...
Against
against
bottom
better
half
players
Palace,
will be
playing
better.
a team that's won 21 on the spin. They'll step up to it. No, I get where you're coming from. It makes sense in what you're saying.
Yeah.
Including even the Dean Henderson thing. I get that. Baggers, who have you gone for? Yours is a predicted 11. Who do you think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to pick for the Etihad?
I think it'll be the same back five. So I think Dean Henderson keeps his spot. By the sounds of what Ole said after the Crystal Palace game, he said it's a personal thing. It'll take some time with De Gea. It sounds a bit more serious than maybe what was before the game. So I think Dean Henderson's going to get a bit of a run. Wan-Bissaka at right back. Bailly and Maguire. I think that's our best two. And I think that Bailly playing against Crystal Palace kind of shows that, right, he's back in the team, he's going to play, and I've got a feeling that Bailly's going to stay for a while as long as he stays fit. Luke Shaw at left back. I've gone for McTominay and Fred in midfield. I think that for as much as I like Matic in there, I think he's going to go back to what he thinks is best. I think he likes Fred and McTominay in the bigger games. I think that, like you mentioned about Matic, the pace, I just don't think he's quite got it to be in and around the City team. Bruno in the 10, I don't think there's any other option than Bruno Fernandes. Marcus out left. I've gone with Dan James on the right as well. I think that Mason had an okay game the other night, but I think we need energy against this lot, because I think the only way we're going to beat them is we absolutely bully, just outrun them and press them and do what we can. And then up top, I've gone for Edson Cavani, because we don't see goals in the other two. I think whether Martial's fit or not, I just don't see the goals. And the same thing with Mason Greenwood. I just think that he's improved. I think he's definitely looked sharper in the second half of the season, but still not getting the goals. I think Edson Cavani has to start.
No, again, it all makes sense. I get where you're coming from, and I think obviously predicting what Ole's going to do, especially when, again, the likes of the options you've got and who's available. We all agreed that Fred was pretty poor at Crystal Palace. I think he's having a bit of a stinker.
He's been rough for a bit.
Yeah,
now, hasn't he?
It seems like me and you've been doing quite a few watch-alongs, and it seems to be a running theme. And I keep reverting back to, I like Fred, but, and it's wearing a bit thin. He needs to turn it around sooner rather than later. For my team, I've done a predicted 11 who I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will pick. Dean Henderson in goal for the reasons we've all explained. Left back Luke Shaw, it's a no-brainer. I brought Victor Lindelof back in. I think he'll go with Lindelof and Maguire if Lindelof is fit.
I can see that.
Yeah, at the time of recording this, we don't know if there is any fitness issues with Lindelof, so I think he will be fit and he'll start. Right back, Wan-Bissaka, of course. Despite myself, and I know where you're coming from with this doesn't quite work, I just think, I don't know whether Ole's going to run out of patience with Fred, so I think it might have to be Matic and McTominay. And I know the points you've all made, and I know Macca hates his team when it's this combination. Sorry, he thinks it doesn't work, and I get that. But I just think it's going to have to be Matic and McTominay. I just do.
It did look like that against Palace. It looked like he lost a bit of patience.
Yeah.
And do you know the other night when Fred had that shot with his right foot that was one of the closest shots he's had, but still didn't trouble the goalkeeper? Not the Palace game, the Chelsea game.
Yeah.
And Ole laughed.
Yeah.
To me, that's a real dig at Fred. That. I don't think that's like, oh, what's he like? Because that was a big game we needed to win.
Yeah.
I think that is him getting pissed off with Fred.
Do you reckon?
I think that's a I'm annoyed at you laugh rather than, oh, isn't it funny? Almost. I think he's pissed off with Fred.
I think as well this idea that Ole's some sort of cuddly, soft guy who doesn't get annoyed, doesn't get angry. He doesn't want to get sacked as Manchester United manager. If he doesn't get top four, he might do. And if people keep putting in poor performances, we will drop out of the top four. And he has got a ruthless streak in him. Jesse Lingard came through the youth, was United through and through, was a sort of mainstay of the team when Ole took over, and then dropped him, moved him out on loan when he was quite ruthless with the likes of Fellaini, Lukaku, players that had been mainstays under Jose Mourinho. Sanchez didn't even get a look in. When he needs to be, he can be ruthless, so I get where you're coming from on that one. The front four, I've gone with Dan James. I think he'll bring him back in. I thought he had a very good game in the Etihad last season in the league. Hopefully he can replicate that. And I think just up front, we've got varying degrees of people looking knackered, people not quite at the races. I've gone with Marcus Rashford on the left. Bruno, obviously, it's no-brainer. And you've all nailed it. Edinson Cavani, I think that he looks a bit goosed against Palace, which is understandable. He's not played. He's coming back in. It wasn't the great conditions, and he got no service as well, which didn't help.
No.
But I expect him to start against Manchester City. Moving on to Manchester City, they just keep winning. I mean, you could almost just... if you throw a stone at City's training ground, you're going to hit a world-class player. It's one of them, innit? I mean, who do you even single out in this team as someone to watch? It pains me to say it.
To be honest, not in terms of someone to watch, in terms of who's going to fuck us up the most. Because you can, like I said, there's half a dozen of them that could do it at a given time. In terms of one to watch for who we should be targeting,
that's a good one. Go on.
I think Zinchenko is the maybe only sort of obvious weakness in their armour because they've got Mendy in, was it 50, 60 million? It's not really worked. He's in and out of the squad. Zinchenko seems to have nailed that down. And I think he's a decent player, but he's one of the only players in Man City's team where I don't go, bloody hell, he's good. I think if we're going to get down that side, Cancelo's been sensational this season. Like, he went from not really getting a game last year to one of the best fullbacks in the world this season. But then there does tend to be a tendency for pundits and viewers, certainly me. I don't watch every single Man City game. I've seen more of them than Fiorentina this season, but I don't watch every game. There does seem to be a tendency, and it happened with Liverpool last season, when a team is doing well, the easy thing to do is every single one of their players is world class. Like, Cancelo is the best fullback in the world. De Bruyne, the best attacker in the world. Gundogan, best midfielder in the world. You're like, just because they're playing well doesn't mean every single one of their players is just the best in the world now. I think if we're going to get anywhere, Zinchenko is the one to target. And maybe, like you said, Dan James against Zinchenko. I don't know, we know what qualities Dan James has. And if he can get past him and get balls in the box, I think we may have a chance there. So for me, the one to watch for City is Zinchenko and whether we can exploit what is one of the few weaknesses City have on their left-hand side.
No, it makes sense. Baggers, where do you sort of stand on this? Do you think it is a case of maybe attacking Zinchenko? Do you think we need to maybe show a bit more grit in midfield when the
I completely
midfield
agree.
battle?
And what's really worried about how good you mentioned Cancelo there is they could put him on the left and play Kyle Walker on the right hand side, and that would just work.
Well,
and
that fucks me up.
And that would, and you just kind of go,
that's the end of my little trick.
And you mentioned it there about Mendy. He spent 50 million and it didn't quite work. City have managed to. The City have been able to do that the whole time Pep's been there.
Yeah.
He spent 100 million on 2 players and they've not quite worked. But what he did is we got another 2 in and brought them in and they've done really well. You look at how much they've slated United for Harry Maguire, who's been pretty good.
Yeah.
And they just go, we'll just bring someone else in. It's fine. But on that, I think what we need to do, and it's not happened in the last few days, we have to come out the blocks quickly. And even not in terms of we're not going to control the ball, but just press them from the first minute. Because the one thing that I've seen a stat about this City run they've gone on, they've not been behind in about 24 games. They've not even conceded first in the last 24 games or something ridiculous like that. We need to come out and at least threaten them for the first 20. Yeah.
Get in amongst them.
Get in amongst it.
I know it sounds
Michael Carrick
I know it
used to
sounds
say.
definitely proper like passion and all this.
Passion.
Go and put a tackle
Good
in.
British lads.
Go and press them from the first minute and just go, we're up for this today. You may be good, but we're going to do this. Because if you let them have the ball and let them settle into it and they score, that could be game over. They'll just go, okay, no, we'll just keep it here. It's fine. We're that good. You lot at the minute aren't.
Yeah, no.
We have to just threaten them early on, try something, because otherwise they could just run away with it.
Right, in terms of form, it's 1-2, lost 2, drawn 1. 2 of those losses came in the Carabao Cup. One thing that we can sort of take a little bit of comfort from is we've not lost at the Etihad in the league since 2018, I think November.
Yep.
We also got that big result in April 2018 when it feels a bit like this going into this game. It more or less just postponed what was City's title procession. I'm getting a feeling of that. Even if we win,
we've not got West Brom the week after.
That's what I mean. It's not like we get a win, the title race is blown wide open.
Yeah.
It's we get a win, we've stopped them winning it maybe in the middle of April and made them win it at the end, or whatever. It's postponed it, and that's where we're at, aren't we?
That's pretty much where we're at. Yeah, but for our sake, not our sake, by the way, for our sake. For our sake's sake, it's better if we don't keep dropping points because eventually top 4 and whoever's
you're right.
5th sneaks up on us. And at the minute, there's still a bit of a cushion, but that cushion can close depending on the game against City. If we lose that game, all of a sudden it's really touch and go for top 4. So forget winning the league, forget postponing whatever they're doing. We need to think about us because we're only a couple of bad results away from being 5th, and then once you fall into that sort of quagmire, there's about 2 points between 6 teams. So next thing you know, you're 12th if Villa win the games in hand. So it's a tough game, but yeah, we not just postponing their title, we need top 4, and I'm getting scared.
Can we just ask you something quick, both of you, right? And it pains me to say this. Me and you talked about this the other night. We can't stop drawing 0-0. A draw is completely useless to us. But Is there a part you don't think, you know what? If you just said to me, is a 0-0 here? I'd have it.
Do you know? Would you go on? You go first.
Right, and that is right. As a United, that is a horrible thing to suggest, and I still have that pride. It's still the Manchester derby. I get it, but there is a bit of me that's thinking they don't stop winning, and almost stopping their winning streaks at 21 games, and you know,
I'd really like it if
taking
we did
a point would be.
I'd
almost
really
all right.
like it if we did a goal soon, like just one.
All right, would you take a 1-1 then?
Absolutely.
Here's what it'd be if you said we take 0-0 against City, and I was in front of my mates and go, nah, no chance, and then I'd sneak back up to him in private and go, hey mate, gives that 0-0. Oh, gives that fucking 0-0, mate. Yeah, don't tell any of them, like, yeah. I'd take it, but on the
I'm
slide.
putting a five on it
If
now,
anyone's
man.
asking me, if anyone asks me, I'm saying no.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I'll take it on the slide. I'll take it on the slide.
You know when you do like when the final whistle goes, no, you just do a little fist bump on it, get in there. And then you're like, oh,
Another
terrible.
draw.
No, this is so shocking. They were there for the taking. It's almost like we're at that stage, you know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, United, City's, running away with it. We're not playing well at all, and if we're not playing well and we can get a point against a team that's just flying, then it's not the end of the world. With that in mind, we'll go for score predictions. Joseph, I'll start with you.
I'm going to say 1-0 United. We have been
Go
good.
on, son.
We have been good at the Etihad. They're due to lose. I know due to lose isn't anything, but they are due to lose.
No,
You don't just win forever. You don't just win 70 in a row. I mean,
You
know,
might.
no, you don't. No one does that. That's impossible. They're not just going to win forever. So they have to draw and they have to lose at some point. We're due a win. And I said it the other night, TJ. That is all I have. The only thing I have is it's about
To be
due.
fair, the other night you did say to me, the last time me and you did a preview in the Crystal Palace game, you said you felt nervous and that this would be one of those games where it could end in a draw, even though I think in the end you went for a win just because it's United and you do that. But you were right.
Yeah.
Alex Baggers, go on.
I think it's going to be 0-0, but I'm going to say, sorry, we'll go 3-2. Say,
Oh, Chris Smalling and Paul Pogba.
Chris Smalling come back.
Yeah.
Harry Maguire come back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Header.
imagine.
Paul Pogba comes off. He's back. He scores 2. Blue hair and everything.
Oh, I love it.
Do you know what, though? It doesn't matter, right? Because last time fans were in the ground, we won.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
And really, nothing has happened
Yeah.
since then. All
Yeah.
of this was a dream.
Aye.
Do you know when they go in the All World Cup and it was a dream, like when
Yeah.
you're writing stories in year 3?
Mate, that was Dallas. You don't remember that? Were you too young?
I didn't watch Dallas, no.
Because basically that just from Dallas.
I
That's
didn't
from
watch
Dallas
Dallas.
who left, right? She left Victoria Principal. I'll do this quick, don't worry. And she left. And then after a film career didn't take off, she decided she wanted to come back. So they wrote that the last series had been a dream.
Without her?
Yeah, they wrote it back into it.
Fantastic.
I think it was
Oh,
her or
that
Patrick
year of
Duffy.
your life?
It might have been Patrick Duffy,
Wasted.
one of the others. So yeah, hopefully that was a dream, but it's not really, is it? I'm going to go though with a 2-0 to United. Scott McTominay to get another one.
With both. Scott McTominay with 2 goals. Fabulous.
Because why not? You've got to have hope, man. Come on. You can't just go into the derby going, oh, they're just going to lose again and City going to win 22 in a row because
Yeah,
it's
City-
just...
They're not even good.
They're not, mate. Just rich.
Nah.
They're just
That's all it
they're
is. Just
sad.
rich and fluky.
They're just sad.
Yeah,
Boring.
mate.
They've gone back to being boring. Do you notice that, by the way?
Go
With
on.
Man City, when other teams do well,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to pick teams that aren't Man United and say that I like watching them. But when other teams do well, and Barcelona were the same, and I always say this, when other teams do well that aren't Barca or City, you go, they kind of play good. It's exciting to watch. But when City are winning and when Barca were winning under Guardiola, it's shit. It's boring to watch. 79% possession, no shots conceded. Who wants to watch that? Who wants to?
City
who wants
scoring
to,
after 10 minutes
Yeah.
every game. You're watching it go, they've scored again. Right,
yeah.
I'm going.
I'm not going to watch this because it's crap. They do my head in. Win the league with the most boring, dominant
least against
football.
Wolves the other night.
Pathetic.
Wolves scored and we kind of went,
Crap.
we've got a bit of hope here.
Yeah.
And then they ended up scoring 4. But it's just like,
Oh, we're going to win 2-0. Oh, good.
Every
yeah,
for you.
like you said,
game.
early
A
goal,
1,000 passes.
game's over, and then we'll just keep the ball, and then we'll get another late one.
Yeah.
Just to rub salt in the wound.
Boring,
And,
boring Man
we'll,
City.
we'll drop some really good players, like we'll put Gundogan on the
Yeah,
bench.
we
and
haven't played Aguero
Yeah.
since October. Aren't we a laugh?
we're not
No,
even
you're not a
missing
laugh.
De Bruyne.
It's
yeah,
disrespectful.
just ruining football, and you just should fuck off. Right. Anyway, on that bombshell, Alex Baggers, where can people find you?
Baggers_Alex. You can find Jay, by the way, on TikTok doing dances with Paul Pogba if you really haven't seen it already.
Literally with Paul Pogba,
Yeah.
he was lovely as well. Joe, where can people find
Joe
you?
Smith 93 on Twitter and on
Are you on
Instagram.
Twitter?
Big
Get
deal,
over
mate.
it, mate.
Big deal. Hey.
Doing my head in you. Lot. You have one viral tweet and they never let you forget it, do they?
Have you been on ESPN UK by any chance? Is that Joe Smith from ESPN UK?
He's even made the
I ought to well you.
the blog that is the Manchester Evening News. Have been using Joe's stats. So yeah, make sure you check him out. It's all good stuff. And if you're not subscribing to the channel, then please do. Obviously, for the Manchester City game, we'll have the watch along. We'll have the pre-game show with Alex Baggers. We'll have the watch along with myself, Joe, and Andy Tate. Andy Tate.
Stephen Howson should be knocking about.
Stephen
as well.
Howson will be knocking about. A lot of people are asking about him. He'll be there for the post-match reaction as well. So this has been the Manchester City preview. Thanks for watching.